Okay, I'm calling to order the meeting of the Ad hoc Grant Search Committee for January 12th. It is at 2:04 p.m. and we have two of our members of the committee, Kate Rooks and Diana Fetterman, and we have with us today two members from the Greenway Committee, Ellen Sengas and Mark Cassis. Is that how you pronounce your name, Mark? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. So we are going to focus on this particular grant application today. Folks, on the agenda, I had said that we might pick back up on the hazard mitigation plan, but I passed a word on to John Workman just saying, look, we'll catch you next time because this one is more complicated and it's got a different deadline and we need to be sure that we're moving forward without any further delay. He's fine. So the only agenda item today will really be to focus on the Greenway application as we know it. So I had passed around a version that I had gotten, I guess, from Aaron right around the holidays sometime. And I had made some yellow markups on it or some comments on it. And then after that, I guess there was another version that had been done. So we have that one. And I'm going to pull that one up. I'm hoping I can. I've got a lot of documents to share, and I thought I would do that. Actually, I might share a couple of things that I could get rid of. I just wanted to show Mark and Ellen a couple of the documents that we had last time that we attached. So I guess part of my goal for today will be to just kind of look at the text of what we've got, understand what we're missing, maybe budget-wise, other things we need for the design scope of work, or I'm not sure exactly what documents we think we need to attach this time. A lot of the language, a lot of the narrative, I think is pretty much verbatim from the other application that we did with some changes, not referring to rail banking. So that's where I wanted to be sure that everything was, consistent in that regard. But let me pull up a couple things and then maybe I can get them off my screen. I've got too many things open here and I have a feeling I'll lose something in a moment. Or maybe not, I don't know. Maybe not. Okay, well, here's one. Okay, so can you see this or no?
Yes.
Okay, I just lost it myself. Hold on. Oh boy. Okay, yeah, so this was one of the maps that we had attached last time. I think there is another kind of a trail map that showed the different sections of it. I'm pretty sure I have it, I just didn't pull it up. So we have a map like this that we could attach. I'm not exactly sure if they had other specific requirements for maps, or if you know of other maps that would be we could do in addition to this. All the maps have to be in a PDF format to upload. So that's one that we have. I have also the Mass DOT tip information list, which I think we could attach if there's space to attach it. And this basically just shows that we are on the transportation improvement list down in Boston for the theoretically some almost $6 million, I guess. This one isn't showing a particular date of that, but I'm believing it's 24 or 25. So again, I'll have to be sure I've got the most recent version of this. As far as I know, this is still in play, but it shows when this first started out back in 2013 and 14. So it's been hanging around a number of years here. So those are a couple possible attachments. The one I mentioned to Ellen while you guys were coming on was the feasibility study. I don't think we need to attach it. It's a monster of a document, number one. It was not formatted well. You can read it on your screen, okay, but I don't know that it's going to be an easy attachment one or if it's really necessary. But that whole project feasibility thing, we can talk about that. If we need it, we may have to figure out a better way to downsize it or something. It's a huge file. A couple things I mentioned in email, we need some letters of support. So Senator Vilas's office did last time. Representative Sabadosa did last time, but she's no longer our rep. So if we know the folks in Westfield, our new rep is Kelly Pease, and we haven't had no contact with him as yet with the new precinct or new districting just taking effect in January. But anybody else that you think of? And questions I had were about this new landowner agreement attachment, which that's a new thing from last time. So those are some early thoughts. So if you guys want to tell me if you've got some ideas for letters of support or people that you've contacted that would be helpful to have, we can just note that, and then we'll get into the application. But let's get some of these things off my screen, and then maybe we won't get confused here. So go ahead.
We have a local, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah.
There's a couple things. One is, I think that we can do a link to the town site for the feasibility study, because I think there's a lot of good maps and information there, if we can try to do that.
Okay.
The second is, I spoke to planner for Easthampton. He said he's willing to write a letter of support and might be able to get the mayor to write a letter of support if you think it's worth going that direction. I've spoken with a city planner and the structural engineer, the head engineer in Westfield. They may be able to write a letter of support if we think it's worth it, because they would like to see this project happen.
Okay.
There's a structural study, engineering study that was done that I think we should have an environmental study.
The
Yeah,
tie and bond
one. There's
Yep.
two tie and bond. One is a structural study, the other is an environmental phase one. I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Yeah, I
But-
may have both of them. I definitely have the one that was done on the bridges and the culverts
Yeah,
back in 2017, 18, something like that.
and I can forward you the other one if you don't, but and
Okay, I'll check my files on that. Yeah.
the other piece that I was thinking that part of this is we want to show our readiness for to accept the grant is I actually think we can have a draft RFP ready to go. If you think that that is a worthwhile thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have 80% of it done, and I have calls into PVPC to just sort of make sure I'm in the right ballpark.
Yep. Okay. And Ed may be joining us, but if not, he sent me an RFP both from Westfield and from West Springfield that we could
Okay.
kind of use as a guide. Theirs is more of an on-call one, which has multiple services there. So it's not specific to the Greenway, but it might give us some information to work from.
So I got 4 RFPs specifically for rail trails, and I'm working off
Okay.
of those.
That's probably
And-
even better.
And I also have the Mass DOT, what they call a scope of services, which lists
Okay.
every single thing that they expect in the
Okay.
design. And at least one of the grants sort of works off of that.
All
So
right.
I think those are the materials we should be working from at least.
Great. Then I think it would be helpful after the meeting if you would forward those to us so that we've got them for our files too.
Okay,
The RFPs specifically for the Greenway. That's probably more relevant than what I have. Mine is probably broader. So yeah.
yeah, I have a Sudbury and I have Easthampton and one other, which I'm not remembering
Great.
where it's from.
Okay. Now that would be very good. Okay. Kate, you were going to say something?
I think that's really awesome that you're doing all that work in the background, so thank you. Is it helpful to include any sort of citizen letters of support, or just really more administrative letters of support?
Citizen
Didn't,
letters of support? Yeah. don't
I
know.
was thinking that Craig De La Pina, didn't he write something in the Gazette recently about how great that it was we were working on this? And he's,
The guy who was at our meeting over at Conan Park, Mark?
No, that was Dan Call. I spoke with Mr. De La Pena, and I think that's what instigated him to write that article.
oh,
I'm sure he'd be willing to write something
yeah,
in addition if we wanted.
Yeah.
right. He has a reputation, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he was involved. I've only heard of him. I have not met him, but I was understanding that he was quite involved previously. As sort of the Mr. Go-to for anything rail trail. It was the impression I got anyway.
Yeah.
Does anybody know him personally at all? Diana, do you know him at all? Or
No, I don't. I've just seen his name for years.
Well, maybe Mark, if you've made that contact, we might ask him.
Okay.
Do you
Okay.
feel that we have enough support from our politicians, or do you think it's worth reaching out to maybe Joe Comerford?
I think Vilas would be our person.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, well, she covers the Northampton side though, right?
Yeah, and she's been a strong supporter of their rail trails in that region.
It wouldn't hurt. I mean, Velas is actually our senator for Southampton, so she's not, she's not our district person. We're in
Right.
a different district, but so Velas for sure. But if Joe wanted to add to it, it wouldn't hurt. I don't think we need, 4 or 5 would be plenty. I mean, I think that's fine. We don't have to do an overboard. Citizens one, I don't know, Kate, what are you thinking? I mean, we might get a few.
I just wonder if it's worth getting some letters of support for either public health or for maybe some people who would really be able to access more walking. Just, it doesn't have to be a lot. It could just be a couple.
Yeah. We can think about it. I don't know that we need to overload it too much, maybe. I mean, we'll have something along the way. We can refer to the, to the master plan, obviously, that put it up as a top priority and things like that in town.
That's
we'll
already
see.
in the grant. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
So
we'll
the other
see.
piece, I'm sorry, the other piece is there were some prior efforts at community input that are now probably 10 years old that we can also, I think we have documents showing those,
Okay.
showing that there's been a long-term commitment of community involvement
Yeah.
if we want to go that direction.
Okay, we might think about that. I mean, a lot of that has probably got to be redone. I mean, people have changed and people have moved in and
Yeah.
out of town, and we probably still have 2 camps of
Yeah.
people, I'm sure, in town. So I think that kind of outreach and community effort will have to be revised here and reinstituted. But yeah, I don't think I've seen any of the older stuff, so that might be good to share too. All right.
I just
so-
wanted to say quickly that in the past, we haven't been able to use a link in a grant to anything.
Yeah.
But when we had to upload a ton of photos for something, they
uh-huh.
used WeTransfer. It's like some kind of application, WE transfer.
All
So
right.
that might work for the feasibility study.
Okay, good. All right. We'll have to check that out and see what's
Uh-huh.
possible. Okay, good. Thanks for that. Yeah. Okay, I think we can just jump right onto the application, and this, I would like to suggest that once we kind of go through this and understand where we are and we're comfortable that this is the right version to sort of all be working from, then I will go ahead and put this in Google Docs and send everybody a link so that we're all working off the same one. If somebody sees something that's, out of whack, etc., we've got a chance to, just, you can leave a comment and we know that we got to deal with it. Okay. All right. My cat's going to be yowling in the background, but ignore that. Okay. So here we have at the beginning, no problem here. I had him note, and you guys did a scratch off on number 7 there, about the trail restoration project. We've actually had 3 grants from Mass Trails. So only 1 for the Greenway, and then 2 now for the Mass Manhattan Meadows. So my thought,
There was one that they had to give back. They usually acknowledge that too.
oh really? Well, we didn't
Yeah.
acknowledge it last time, so I don't think I want to open
Okay,
that can of
all
worms.
right. It's a few
Yeah,
years
we
back
we
now.
did the
so-
one for 20. We did the one for phase 1 of Manhattan, but not the whatever the title is for phase 2. I think we
It's-
should put that in there because that was 21, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So there should be 3 listed there, just so that they know that we've had 3 for different reasons. Okay. All right. Rail corridor. So the title of this project, yeah, I mean, could even maybe just be rail corridor design. I don't know if we have to say the whole thing, but because you're talking about engineering design later on here. So just a thought. Let's see. So then the brief project description. So I'm trying to see here. So, okay, so involves engineering, design, and permitting for new rail trail on the corridor. Okay, design process for a portion of the missing middle. And why are we saying a portion rather than the missing middle itself?
The part from Route 10 down to Westfield.
To
I'm sorry,
Westfield?
To Westfield will not be covered. So
Okay,
it depends on how you want to play the game, the word game, but that
okay,
we're,
I just,
um,
yeah, got it. Okay. Okay, network of open space and natural resources, okay. Sure, okay, and then we get into the grant amount, so. We're gonna be asking for 300,000 in this application, right? And then a matching amount you're hoping from CPC or?
well, if I have this correct, don't we have 100,000 left over from
sorry.
existing 100,000,
You are right.
100,000 and 370? So I think
Yep.
that this could be a matching 100,000.
Yep, that is your CPC amount right there. You're right. We did that with the debt exclusion and then turning that around and getting CPC approval. We put in extra money just to be safe. So I think that is correct. We'll double check the math, but I think so. Very good. Yep, some of these things get to be a blur after a while. Okay, primary activity this time is design, engineering, and permitting. I think that's quite true. Last time it was other. Type of trail. So who's Daniel Rukakowski
He's a
He's one of the
member.
members.
Yeah,
of the committee?
the Greenway Committee, yeah.
Oh.
He works for Ty and Bond and is one of their, so he's got a lot of expertise in this area or the general area of construction.
All right, here comes Ed. Hold on a minute. So his question was, should this be a shared use or a woodland trail?
I-
It says to check only one, so you need to decide, I guess. Hi, Ed.
Can I ask a question?
I was gonna have some fun and sign in under a fictitious name and have some fun with you.
I would have taught you.
I figured you probably had enough of that for a day.
I did, thank you.
I would think that it would be a woodland trail because it's not a shared use trail, right?
It is.
Oh,
Well,
no, I'm sorry, not a woodland trail, it'd be a shared use path.
Yeah, I don't think you want woodland trail.
Right, I
So-
think it would just be a shared use path.
Can I make a suggestion that we just check off the one, but then underneath it listed, will be a shared use path, but not include motorized vehicle, which I think is what was inferred in the last grant.
Okay, I don't think I can edit it on the screen here, so we're gonna have to just make some notes as we go. Let me see if I can.
What do you?
We may need just one. That's it. I
That's
just
it.
gotta wait and see if Sue has any.
Make a note here so we don't lose the note. I don't know that I can click on it itself. Ed, just a quickie for the budget wise, we're looking at 400,000 total. 300,000 will be the request for this grant, and we have the 100,000 right from the former debt exclusion, now CPC, correct?
That's correct.
So that would be our quote unquote match, or our contribution would be the 100,000. And then 300,000 would be what we're asking for. So our total here is about 400,000 toward the design work.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, I mean, in total, I estimate that the design will probably cost us about $600,000, but
Mm-hmm.
if we get this 300,000, we'll be 3/4 of the way there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Just wanted to check.
That's
that.
good.
Is
All right,
the
well-
confusion over the, which type of trail, does this have to do with that sticking point of the equestrian piece? In other words, do they consider an equestrian pathway shared use or woodland? I know this was something that the people in the town were concerned about. They wanted to make sure that there was a equestrian trail that was not paved, that ran alongside
Right. And that's what's in the feasibility study. I think what we can do, depending on if there's a little comment box here, I don't know without pulling out of this format that I'm in. I think it's shared use, but I think we can add a comment somewhere in here that the shared use, and we may have talked about it elsewhere in the narrative about having a parallel equestrian path in certain locations, not for the entire length of the path flow.
That's
Right.
right. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, so we can put it in somewhere if it's not able to be done here, but I think we have it up here, so the user groups, so this check out all
yeah.
that apply.
That's right.
So we have equestrians here, so I think
Yes.
it's okay.
Yeah,
All right, so that's
That's
fine, I
good.
think.
yeah.
So I think
Mhm.
shared use is it. All right, so
That should cover everything.
yeah, I think so.
Yep.
All right, so project location, I think all that's okay. It goes the Coleman Road to Route 10, Sheldon's, and then so the landowner, so this is information from before. So then I just want to be clear that, yeah, so anything referring to the rail banking agreement, you know, that was the focus, the acquisition of the railway was the focus of the last one. So anytime we mention rail banking, I just want to be sure that we've got it in the right context in here.
Can I ask a question?
Yep, go ahead.
Is it likely that we'll actually have a contract finalized with the railroad? Because again, part of this is being ready for getting a grant as if we've actually acquired the property. I don't know if that's likely to happen by February 1st or not, and that obviously changes the language also.
No,
No, it's not.
no way.
Okay, okay,
No, I mean, our timeline on that whole rail banking thing, I think went at least until June, did it not? I forget. If you
Right.
Look at the timeline of the last grant, so. No, there's lots of things that has to happen on the railroad side to abandon the railway and do the whole thing that they have to do. So, no, I wouldn't certainly count on anything in the next couple of months on it, for sure. So that sentence here of, this is true though, they town and PVRC agreed to the terms and letter of intent. So the intent, and then Mass DOT. So this sentence just may have to be a little bit tweaked, that it's, you know, because this grant award, okay, applying for this now, our experience, Diana, remind me, our experience with Mass Trails is we don't know anything until July or August. Is that not right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I think, you know, we can say that the letter of intent has been honored by both parties, and at the time of this writing is currently being worked on. And, you know, by the time of grant award, we anticipate the process to be concluded, or something like the rail banking process to be concluded, or something like that.
there's a specific sentence there, finalizing acquisition rail corridor. And we could say rail banking should be completed before June 2022. I don't know if that covers what you need or.
I don't know, I'm not gonna make the edits. I'd ask you to make the edits after we get
Okay,
out of
gotcha.
this, okay? So that's
Okay.
what I'm saying. If I'm gonna highlight it, and then
Okay,
if you guys would go back and we'll have the recording, so you can go back and listen to our discussion if you forget what
Okay.
we said, okay?
Mhm.
Okay. Is the land publicly owned? Yes, it is. Okay, so let's see. Public access, so nothing private or owned, no, that's nothing there. State and federal requirements for accessibility, yes. So the design RFP will specifically address that. The final design needs to meet all existing regulations to assure accessibility, that's true. Purchase of steel or iron, so the project right now, steel or iron construction supplies, this is where the Buy America Act is gonna come in. We have to be buying steel and those kinds of things, especially that, from an American source. At this point in time, this project is only focusing on the design. So I'm thinking the answer is still no, like it was for the acquisition, okay?
Yeah.
All right. The PNF was already done. Those numbers still stay. I don't think there's anything there. Then this is all their explanation of what they want in a narrative. And then here we are with all this. So design a trail, serve as a basis. Yep. Let's see. Did we talk, if yeah, here it is. So a design option for a side unpaved equestrian path will be considered where feasible. So I think we've dealt with that question here as well. We added, and this is, I believe, some of the stuff that was in the old grant too, about the railings and roadway intersections and signage and all that. So I think this is still pretty valid. Go ahead, anybody, just jump in. And then this is specific to this project. So this is where I guess I had a couple questions. So these things, so Ed, I want you to take a look at this. These are the first things I put in yellow. I'm assuming these were parts I know of our steps in the earlier application to acquire the right of way and a rail banking agreement. I think all of that should be done under that old project time or task list. And we would begin this application with the town publishes the RFP. Does that make sense to anybody? Talk me out of it. It's fine.
When I put it together, I wasn't sure how to do that. So I think your thought process is probably correct. I sort of listed the things that hadn't been done yet from the old grant, recognizing that was the cutoff for the new grant. So you
Okay.
probably are right.
Okay, because I think that at the legal fees and, registering at the, the registry of deeds and all that stuff, that will all be kind of the final point, right, of the whole rail banking thing, shouldn't it be?
Yes.
So we're going to remove the first 5 of those.
Yeah,
Okay.
and anything that's in yellow. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
And Ed, before you
Well-
came on, Mark has agreed. Mark has gotten some actual RFPs for Greenway itself, not the broader on-call one that you shared with me.
Yeah.
So he's gotten one from, you said, Easthampton and Sudbury, Mark?
And one other one, which I'm forgetting the town, but I'm working off of those to get a
Okay,
draft RFP done.
great. So I think that's going to be great. I think if we could work from that idea, where we've got some specific language, that would really help us. So these kinds of steps to this, and the RFP process a whole lot better than any of us. So here we publish an RFP for design. It would include design, engineering, and permitting, I guess, as part of the RFP. We review and evaluate the proposals that come in. We accept the proposal and contract. Ongoing process by the town and this company, the design firm, to seek input from abutters and other town members. So again, part of that public outreach and education, right, during this whole
Right.
process. So engineering firm evaluates the corridor, proceeds with design and engineering. Permitting process begins. Final design report. Final permitting, develops opinion of probable construction cost, and town acquires funding for project construction. Sounds pretty good to me. Are we missing a step anywhere there? Looks like it's
So-
pretty,
Two things. One is I had gotten input from Dan Rukakowski, who does this all the time. And that a lot of these were his recommended changes. And they are, the project timeline in the other section mimics this.
Okay.
Okay.
and remind me, that was for a year, was it? The
It-
design
my-
time?
My understanding is most design projects under the mass trails are only, they say specifically, they generally do them only for a year.
Okay, so these steps would be laid out over a year's period of time. Yeah, starting from July.
And if you look at the other document, the Excel document, that includes a timeline. We can look
Yep.
at that. at the end.
Yep. Yeah, I can't pull up 2 at the same time, but we'll
Yeah.
get there. So Ed, is there anything else that you think might be lacking anywhere? It seems like our first thing would be to, we've got to put out an RFP first of all. Is it
Right.
an RFP? It's an RFP, right? So we're
Well,
asking for proposals.
I'm favoring the RFQ, so.
Okay. So an RFQ is a request for qualifications, which would first be to select The company?
Well, what you do is you ask for qualifications,
Mhm.
and depending on how you go and who applies, then you might shorten the list and do interviews, and then you make your choice.
Can I ask clarification?
Go ahead, go ahead.
So that's actually not including the scope of services of what you're actually asking them to do. Is that correct?
Really depends on if you go the global route of on-call or the finite route
Well, and this one, I
of
think.
looking for one.
Well, but I think finite here, meaning somebody specific that has had experience with trail design and engineering rather than on call,
Well,
maybe?
Well, let me give you a hint. Even if we do on-call,
Yeah,
we're going to choose somebody that's got that same experience for that
Yeah.
particular project.
yeah, okay, all right. Well, I guess we'll see what Mark has. Mark's gonna send us what he's got for the RFPs that went out from Easthampton or Sudbury, or both. And but I think no matter what, I guess the question is, if we do an RFQ, which is fine, on call or otherwise, you still need some level of scope of services in there, right? To decide.
Right. Then you would write a scope of services and enter into a specific contract.
Right. But is the scope of services part of the RFQ, or is it after you choose somebody?
Again, depends on if you go global or finite. My preference is global, and then you basically define what you want them to do and you enter into the contract for that.
So if I can ask, is it worth having a draft of that RFQ attached to this grant?
I personally, I think it would help if we could.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that and say, okay, we are currently in the process of, picking a design firm or choosing a design firm, and attach that to the grant if they allow you to add additional documents to it.
Yeah, and I think
Yep.
they do. Yeah. Okay, so just to be clear, so if we did like the on-call one, Ed, for multiple services, but we would be looking for somebody that's got trail work, and so in that RFQ, we don't go into levels of detail about what we need done for the trail. That would come after we select the company that has experience in trail design.
Right, exactly.
Okay, how long does an RFQ have to be out on the street usually?
I'd probably leave it out there for maybe 3 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
And then say another couple weeks to choose and check references and whatever.
And do any interviews.
Interviews, okay.
Yep.
And then they would get, that chosen company would then get the scope of work that's more specific to what we need done, yeah?
Right, exactly.
And they would at that time get any of the supporting documents that we already have, like, various reports and stuff that were done 5 or 6 years ago. And
Yeah, if they wanted to look at those, they're welcome to them. Absolutely.
yeah, and then they would develop their proposal to us saying, okay, here's your scope of work. This is what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, how long it's going to take, and here's the cost, right?
Right. Well, we basically back into it because right now we've only got $100,000 to spend on that. So we would back into it and say, we're doing phase 1 of all these tasks. What can you do to get us to, whether it's 10% or 25% or whatever, with that amount of money? And then once they've done that and we have more, then we'd open it up to phase 2 and advance that.
Okay, so
Can
because
I
right now
add
we
some
only
info?
have 100,000 of cash in hand, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, Mark?
Can I add some information? I've been trying to understand this process, and I've spoken with various people. The scope of services that ultimately needs to be met is the Mass DOT scope of services, which actually the outline is about 40 or 50 pages. And they talk about a 25% phase, then a review by the community, a 50% phase, 75%, 100%. So part of this is fitting into that piecemeal, see
Yeah.
what you can get for the amount of money we have.
Exactly, and you know, one of the reasons they don't do it all at once is different comments and pieces will come up at times. So you've got a chance to make, whether it's major or minor adjustments to the plan along the way without saying, okay, design this 100%, and then all of a sudden having to redesign the whole thing or a good portion of it, and basically having considerable extra costs.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe we would have something that, you know, we'd figure out out of these, this list of tasks, maybe Mark, we'd figure out what might constitute something toward a 25% or,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, maximum or something that might be part of the RFQ or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Is that a little bit clearer? We can still meet and work on
Yeah.
it, but any questions we got, or I'll keep moving. Yeah, Diana, do
Good.
you have anything?
No, that's fine. I mean, that's not my area of expertise.
I know. That's why I'm glad Ed is here, because I haven't dealt with these guys either at this level. Mark, anything else, or Ellen? Just
No, I'll forward what I can forward a draft RFP. And again, for Ed to look at it and say, this is way
Yeah.
off base, or we'll use this piece of it or whatever, as an RFQ would be great.
yeah.
Who did Easthampton use for their design?
Westfield used VHB.
Yeah, and I know, and I know Westfield wasn't real pleased with them, but
Um,
Yeah.
Actually, when I talked to the city engineer, I didn't get that sense, but you may have more information. In Easthampton, I don't have full information because the person who's current planner only came in after most of the process was completed, but he gave me the name of a prior engineer to talk with, who's now actually city manager for Ware. I'm gonna try to reach him.
okay.
Okay, good. Well, that'll be good. No, I think Mark, if you could send around those couple that you have to us as a group, and then we can take a look at them. And if you want to try your hand at drafting a scope of services based on that, that's fine. But I think it definitely would help to have some level of a draft design, as Ed articulated there, as an attachment, saying, you know, we're currently in the design, you know, phase here, and you know, phase 1 of our design process, and you know, we are looking at selecting a firm, and you know, here's the draft RFP or whatever we want to call it. Okay.
Okay.
Super. All righty. We'll just keep on. So the critical network here, critical gap. Yeah. So Daniel Ed is from Tie and Bond, and he's been somebody who's been advising, I guess, the Greenway Committee as well. So yes, his comment is true that Westfield part is already dealt with. So yeah, very true. So that would be a correct sentence here. The one thought I had somewhere in here, and maybe it makes sense or maybe it doesn't. There is, you know, we had something come before us from Aaron where the whole universe now in terms of the rail trail is called the what? The New Haven, Northampton Canal, Greenway Canal or something. So we might at some point refer to that, because we have been part of the alliance now. We joined that. We signed on to their whatever name change thing, whatever it was. I think it was New Haven, Northampton Greenway Canal Project, I think, or something like that. So somewhere that just to say that might fit in here somewhere, because we didn't have that obviously when we did the other one.
I'll add that.
Yeah, so there's that. Not too much here. And again, like I said, when I ran through it, the other version, I was just watching out for anything that had mentioned the rail banking, so that we weren't, you know, falling back into that old language from the old grant. So from the old thing. So any new stuff, this is probably a lot more updated than what I had here. So which town's locations for soccer? Yeah, okay, fine. We've already talked about, yeah, our being a what do I want to say, our ethnic diversity and so forth, our sort of the what is it called, economic justice portion. We always have to struggle with that. We're kind of a community in between, and we've tied ourselves as much as we can to the neighboring communities, because Southampton itself is not quite fitting into those parameters. So the readiness, now this is maybe where we need to just be sure we're on the same thing here, PNF, da-da. So. I mean, I mean, I don't know if we should say, I mean, here you might want to mention here that the rail banking, process was, whatever, revived or something in 2021, and, the town, is in the final stages of acquiring the right of way or something like that. I don't know.
I will add something. if
Yeah.
you're gonna do
Another
it.
step in there,
That's
maybe.
number 3.6.
Yeah, I'll just put I'll make a little yellow thingy here, and hopefully it'll stay. Then you can see where you can maybe add something in there. If you think it's relevant. I mean, it's up to you.
I think that's good. And also what Ed mentioned, or the language you talked about being, we were getting an RFQ ready. We have a draft RFQ as part of design.
Yeah, okay, all right. And here we talked, oh, and I think I did mention this to you. Yeah, the Historical Commission and the endangered species. We know we've got to get letters from them in this case. We didn't need it for the acquisition. I sent you a sample of what Diana had sent off to those two committees for the park grant that we had done. So something along those lines, but probably a lot more, not a lot of detail, but just describing what we're trying to do here. So you can pull some of the language right out of here, out of the application, and put in a letter, and then we'll, pass it back to us. We'll have to send it off on town stationery to those two committees. My understanding is we have to submit that. We can show that we've submitted it. We don't have to have an answer from both of them before we, submit the application.
That's
So-
correct, yeah.
So that's historical and the conservation,
And the endangered species.
endangered species.
So MHC and NES.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, those ones. This other stuff, is this new stuff you put in, or this is what we had from before? If it is, it's probably stuff I got from Paul Fergal, which is probably still true. About the NEPA and the,
It was mostly minor adaptations of what was there.
yeah, okay. Then I'm not gonna spend time on it, because I think that was, I think it's accurate. Paul, we were relying on Paul's engineering experience last time to help us out with the first application, so community support. So this talks about the history of it since that formed 10 years ago. So we did talk about the master plan and the open space plan showing support for here. But we did say here residents will, so the residents will vote on the rail banking agreement. So they've already voted on that as part of the design process. So let me see what we were trying to say here. I mean,
So I
the
think
vote has
just-
already happened at town meeting about the rail banking. That already happened. So
So I think specifically, we should just get rid of everything from will vote to.
Or just say voted.
Voted.
Just to even get rid of that, just say the design process will include the process of gathering community input.
Well, or you could just forget, as part of the design process, you can just say residents voted at the annual town meeting, whatever. And also funds were approved by the Community Preservation Committee. Whatever, okay, but
Okay, then,
that would replace what's in yellow, or part of what's in yellow here, okay?
okay. Mhm.
All right. Safety issue, yeah, we were talking about Route 10 last time. I don't know if you've got any other things to add to that. Part of our trouble, obviously is without that, they've got to ride on Route 10, and obviously the part from Sheldon South, people are still going to be riding on Route 10, but we're not talking about that really in this particular application. But if there's anything else you think that to be added, go ahead.
So just a little bit of an update. I spoke to the Westfield city planner and he said that actually Mass DOT is pushing a project on the north side of Westfield that will come close to the Southampton town line, but basically onto Route 10. So there's a reasonable chance that later Mass DOT will be willing to help us with that other section.
Right, that's great. So they'd
so-
bring it probably what, about as far as Cumberland Farms there around North Road area? I mean,
I think
go to,
minimally past that is my understanding.
okay,
Yeah, at least to Cumberland Farms.
yeah, because that would.
And
be
it won't,
pretty close.
theirs won't be all along Route 10, but we'll sort of try to get as much off the road and then bring it back to Route 10.
Yeah, okay. Great, okay. The section on disabilities, I think we did an okay job with last time. If there was anything else.
You know, I think it might be helpful somewhere to say like, this is this missing middle of what? How many miles to the north, how many miles to the south is the,
Yeah.
you know, just to
Mhm.
bring home how, you know,
I thought
missing
we
link.
did that, right?
Yeah.
Mark, I thought we said that up in the beginning.
We said something about, we said a portion of the rail trail. So we had put missing middle. We had used those words at one point in the first application, but I think you guys either, or maybe you put a portion of the missing middle. That's what you had done in your edits here. But I think, yeah, Diana's point is correct. You know, maybe up in there, we could say, or wherever it fits best, that, you know, the entire New Haven, Northampton Greenway, whatever, Canal Greenway is X numbers of miles, you know, from Easthampton North, X, and then from, you know, Southampton South. And so,
And-
I mean, I get your point, just try and say, okay, we've got an 80-mile stretch, for example, and here we are, the 3 miles sitting in the middle, that can't connect anybody. So I
Right.
get your point.
And also because not everybody reading this is going to be all that familiar with our region.
Right,
Good idea. I'll add something.
yeah, so something along that,
This-
wherever it fits best, maybe in the very beginning. Again, I mean, I do trust that people at the state level actually read through the entire application. That's their job. But sometimes you want to grab them early on in the first part of narrative, so that you're really kind of focusing their attention and wanting them to read more, right? So,
That's really section 3.3. They specifically asked
yeah,
for
I
gap.
think so.
I think, talk about that, scroll down just a tiny bit in the,
Yep.
in the third paragraph in 3.10. Did we talk about the linking there? Connecting the Manhattan Rail Trail in Easthampton. And we talked a little bit about the utilization there, like the numbers of people,
Right,
and that it had been already labeled as a priority site. That might be a good place to actually write down the number of miles that, you know.
Mhm. Yep.
Because
and
it's,
it doesn't hurt to repeat it. You could have it in two places, frankly. I mean,
Yeah.
you could add it there, but you could, if I go back, oops.
I think it's important to put it right up in the beginning, somewhere, right at the outset.
Wherever it was, right up here, the design process for a portion of the missing middle. But then later it was talking about where that 3.5 mile is mentioned for the first time. Let me just see where that is. If I don't lose this. It's in the first narrative, I think. So that's divided there, but the narrative part. Where is it?
It's almost, I like your suggestion to have it right up in the front, because it's a massive length of trail
Yeah.
that will suddenly happen, right? And that's what's particularly unique about this little segment of it. It's not very long, but it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, there's little pieces to the east that connect it to Boston, but it's a huge,
Mhm.
so we could find out how many miles are completed to
Yeah.
the north, and how many
We've-
miles are completed to the south, and
Yeah.
say, this
We've
is the
got-
total.
We've got
Yeah.
this part right here. I'm just going to put it in a different color, just so I'm not saying to get rid of it. I'm just going to attract your attention to it
Yeah,
when you look
that's
at it
great.
again.
Yep, that's
Because
great.
this does talk about 120-mile component and blah, blah, blah. So there's something there, but
Yeah.
that's in that first real narrative. Up in the, I can't remember on some of these, when you get in on the online, they limit the number of words sometimes, but I can't remember. 3.5 miles in length. So again, there might be something that we could add to that total, you know,
Under 2.3, yeah.
3.5 mile, the missing 3.5 miles out of 300 miles or something.
Yeah.
Just not elaborate, but mention it there and then elaborate it further.
Right, that's good.
Great idea.
Great
That's
idea. Great. Okay, so we're down about here. I think that's good. I think that was fine. We're environmental justice community. Yeah, we talked about that. So you've done some editing there. That's fine. So steps already taken. So underrepresented. Okay, so this is yeah. I guess we could get I think our census numbers went up a little bit better, didn't they, Diana? Do you remember? On our 2010 census, I mean, didn't we show a little bit more diversity in town this time?
I don't remember. No.
One more.
Yeah,
African
one more
American.
person moved into town. I don't know. That's terrible.
Yeah,
But
maybe we'll
there
talk.
might. I guess I would just say let's just check these figures.
Mhm.
Just to see. I mean, I don't know. This was talking about. That's a combined total of their residents. So Southampton.
Is it on the
let's-
town website?
Or Lucy Dalton can give you some information. The
Well, you
town
can
clerk.
get the if you want the 2020 census figures, those are online.
Are
under
they online?
the
Okay.
Census website, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So I
you.
think we could. Yeah, Ed, do you know you're muted if you're saying it? Ed, you're muted.
Ed,
Ed can unmute if you were talking to us.
No, hang on a second. I'm in another conversation. I'll be
Oh, I'm
back in
sorry.
a couple
Okay,
minutes.
but that's
Right
fine.
on.
That's fine. So yeah, I mean, to the extent we could find the 2020 census online, I'd like to get a little bit of specificity for Southampton here, because we were pretty, non-committal up here, right? Okay.
and
So-
also
Oh.
they always, they told us before, you can count children and seniors as.
I was
part-
just gonna say the same thing. Maybe it would be worth including about the large percentage of people over 60 in the community.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the environmental justice, it's the same thing, right? So I learned all about this from other projects. Like
Right.
there's pretty much environmental justice communities on the border of Southampton and also on the border or close to the border of Easthampton.
Right.
I'm happy to look at those sections if you want me to.
Sure. If you wanna get any other information, that would be fine.
Yeah, that
You're-
would be helpful.
I've done so much environmental justice research for other grant applications that I'm happy
Yeah.
to take a look
Yeah,
at. that.
Kate's been our person on that. So yeah, that would be great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, and another recent development in the town is that the vote for the, it's not a cooling station, but the water features and the accessible pathways on the park would be accessible via the bike path. That
Mhm.
seniors and kids could get there without going on the road.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That
That's a
was-
good, really great point. That makes me happy. Thank you.
Okay. Alrighty. I think we were farther down. Let me scroll back here so we're almost toward the end here of this. Let's see. Where are we? So this is where we were in terms of the disabilities, accessibility, and then uniqueness of the rail trail itself. So I think, again, if you wanted to add any more in terms of I'm just gonna highlight what I'm putting in blue, folks, is just something to say we want to basically keep it, but maybe expand it.
Okay,
Mhm.
great,
And the yellow things are kind of questionable, okay?
great.
And pray tell I don't lose the colors. But I think so. Okay, so there's cultural stuff. And historic. So is this near, we said yes last time because of the whole canal area and the historic district. So I think this stuff still stays. We said we'd reach out to MHC and the Southampton Historical Commission. I don't know what permissions the Historical Commission would give us. Do you, Diana?
Well,
mean-
they're more concerned if you're gonna be excavating or, you know, possibly
Right.
damaging anything.
True.
Is that, you mean the state historical?
There
Commission?
are,
No, well, we said Southampton. So it said here, describe the
Oh.
resources and how you would avoid or minimize impacts to these resources. I mean,
Oh, I,
because we're
yeah.
not doing any construction now, so it is the design phase. So I
right,
think this is okay, just to say, we're just gonna, nothing anticipated now.
Mhm.
But during the design phase, we're gonna reach out and have discussions at least with,
well,
I don't know.
I mean,
Go ahead.
there's specific permitting that is required if you're going through certain areas, like, any of those areas that come close to the canal are going to require specific permitting, historical permitting, right, Mark? And that,
Yeah, that's what part of the design we're
Yeah.
getting a consulting firm to do, is to
Mhm.
We'll find
help us
out.
with that process.
Yeah, and MHC may issue some of those. I don't think the Historical Commission in Southampton issues anything like that, but
that's
they need to
correct.
be consulted. I mean, the Conservation Commission would, do their whole wetlands permits and all that kind of stuff if they're involved. But this one is specifically about historic or archaeological resources. So this may be
And-
fine.
in the last one we did for the
Yep.
railway, didn't we talk about the district around the Sheldons and all that? It has a name. I forget.
Let me back up. I think it would have been
think-
earlier. Let's see.
I mean, I think we even mentioned that they used to distill liquor at the old,
Yeah, we did somewhere. That was part of,
oh, I see. Okay, yeah, there it is.
yeah, it was right here, the Lockville
All right.
National Historical District. And see, right now, especially even now, because the Historical Commission is working on a grant with surrounding towns to get that on the state and at least the state historic register. So that becomes even more important here. But I think maybe just the sentence that's in here, nothing is happening during the design phase to disturb anything. There's no impact right now in a design phase. So I think just saying reaching out is probably sufficient.
Mhm.
And the only excavation, yeah, so here, even minimal, oh, wait a minute, so here then,
If it's only design, why do we have to contact the endangered species people?
I think the answer is no at this point, right? We're not going to be lifting up the rails
Yeah.
at this point, right, Mark? I think,
Not at this point.
Well, I mean, we
Okay.
didn't contact them for the right-of-way grant, so it.
yeah,
doesn't-
but this language is, I think this language is coming from the right-of-way grant, right? So we said, well,
Oh.
I don't know, but, okay, maybe one of
I'll
the,
reword that
yeah,
to clarify, we're not doing anything now, but will be
Right.
addressed in the design.
okay.
Yeah, who knows? During the design phase, maybe they'll want to go out there and do some dirt samples, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the design work to the extent WPA is, okay, I think this is okay. We'll specifically address this. I think, so Diana, you're saying you don't know whether there's any reason to have either Mass Historical or the endangered species people contacted at this point for this grant? We didn't do it for the rail banking one, you're true. True, that's true. We did do it for the park grant because we had to, but you might be right, we may not need to. This might be a call. Would you mind trying to catch up with Amanda Lewis and asking her for a design phase if we need these 2 letters?
All right, I'll do that.
Thanks, because if we don't need them, great, that's one less hassle.
So
These, go ahead.
I'm sorry, the application under 4.2 says during the design phase, we will reach out.
Right.
So that doesn't necessarily mean, or at least the wording doesn't say that we've already done it.
Right, but in some of the requirements for this grant, you do have to reach out and do those letters, but because
Okay.
it's not, we're not in a construction phase yet, we may not need them now.
Okay. Mhm.
We may need them during the design phase, but we'll just check, and then if we don't have to write the letters, we can be done with it, so. So this is part of this one, within the habitat, for some reason we said yes here.
It's true, it does.
I think it's our thing here, and then the endangered species. So this will run through this. So this is where we need to just, so it's not this project anymore. Okay, so that's where I want to be careful that anything that says this project focusing on the rail bank, this isn't that project anymore. So during the design phase, that would have to change, right?
That's correct.
So during the design phase, the extent of any endangered species will be determined. Okay,
Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yep.
so any of those kinds of things, that's what I was looking for when I was trying to read it last time. So just read them about 5 times more and we might catch them all. Okay, the MIPA thing is something, so I guess part of that was there last time, and then you guys crossed out the last part of it. Okay. Okay, yeah, or rewrote it. Okay, fine. None known until the design is complete. That's probably true. So then equipment. So for this particular piece of equipment, so there's nothing to say here because we're not doing any equipment. I think this whole section, if I'm not mistaken, was skipped last time, because it's all equipment related and we won't get there at this point in time. And
That's
then
for
we're
snowmobile
basically,
people.
sorry?
For the people that are looking for snowmobile trails, I think.
Oh, yeah, right. And then we're down to what we might need for specifications. So again, I've got that one map. I might have a second one. They'll end up having to be, I don't like to do zip files, but PDF files work fine. They attached last time. We had, I did a sheet of photos, which I can show you in a minute. There were like 3 or 4 photos that we included. I embedded them in a Word document and saved them as a PDF. The one thing I guess I wasn't sure, this landowner permission document, I kind of think this was a new thing here, and I want to go into the requirements in a minute. Project map required, as detailed as possible. I encourage a single zip GIS file if we have a GIS file. I don't know if we have one.
No, we don't.
Yeah, some PDF, and then, so this does allow us to add other documents. So, but you can only add one document in a file. So we need maps and we need photos or drawings, and then this landowner documentation, apparently we need to do, and then 6.5, we can add maybe 3 other files. So we could figure out maybe the engineering report or something that we would decide would be valid to look at. Do I have anything else here? What do I have here? Let me get rid of this. Oh yeah, I don't know. So this was, let me just jump to I think this was your time frame. Yeah, okay. Now be sure I have the right one. I think there was one that I saw that had the old one on it and the new one, and I think this is just the old one. This is just the new one, I think. But
It should say draft 2 of the
Okay.
Mass GIS.
Does.
does
It
it?
does. Yep.
Okay. Yes, it does up top. Yep. So notice a grant award. So this all needs to,
Although,
So we're talking about getting rid of 5 through 9. That was the prior grant, is that correct?
yes, exactly. It doesn't hurt though, I guess. I don't think in the timeline it would necessarily hurt to show that. I mean, that could be maybe a shaded column or something. You know, we could maybe put it on a crosshatch or something,
Okay,
you know, that just shows that that's part of what's got, it does have to happen in July. It's not part of this grant, but then,
And you also expect that to end by the end of July. So, in band 8, how it, it continues past, that actually should be white. Am I right? Could be
the
wrong,
problem is
but-
it may actually take longer.
yeah, well, we'll worry about that. But which one are you at, Ellen? Sorry.
At 8, rail
rail
banking
banking?
negotiation process begins and concludes. I mean, I
Oh, yeah, this should,
all
yeah.
those, all of those that are gray, those should be white. Is that right? Because you're hoping that it would be over by then?
Yeah, or at least
Here.
nothing else should be in here, I think.
So
You know, if-
end,
Yeah,
end that in August? And in,
Ended at the end of July?
end of July, I think. Because,
okay,
and then I would take this town signs and submits grant award documents. I would take that out of second place and move it down to the first thing under this project. So if we had 3 of them up in July that relate to the rail banking, those 3 are kind of together. But then let's start, you know, with the town signs and move that down right before this town acquires, oops, sorry, there's another one. The easements, sorry, right before the RFP.
Even the notice of grant award should be below that, right?
That's what I'm saying. The notice of grant award should come down
Yeah.
right before the RFP.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
so 5 should become 9 and the other move up.
Yeah,
6,
and
yeah.
and that can still be, so the
Okay.
ones up above it for the rail banking, if you want to leave them in, they could be crosshatched or something.
Hmm,
Yeah,
And
so
then
it goes 7, 8, 9. It
Okay.
starts at 7, 8, 9, and then.
Yeah.
4, 5.
and, okay, I'll try to and highlight the difference, okay.
So then it basically just to, yeah, this is all the process and you went out through June. So yeah, so final permitting, final report. So that should sync with your narrative. And then on the budget side, okay, so this is where I was confused because this budget, we don't need to see this legal service stuff here. So this is where I was confused. Because the budget I got here, none of this legal stuff should be, this is all the rail banking stuff.
Do we need any legal services for the contract with the design firm?
No,
Okay, so I'll just take that out and put the full amount down below.
So then if we go down, so the cost of acquisition, so there's not a cost of acquisition here. That would go away, rail bed. So
So I'm
that,
getting rid of the legal services and getting rid of acquire easements.
yeah,
so
see,
the
the
10,000
acquisition,
commutes there.
the acquisition was other, that didn't have a category, whereas up
Yep.
here, what did we do? So the cost of personnel, so this would be the RFP or, you know, the engineering firm stuff will be up there because there's no, or the cost of consultant. I think we might have actually added this in here. So this would be probably where your RFP stuff would go. There's no materials and supplies really, no equipment. And then this acquisition part, this rail bed goes away. Yeah, all this would go away.
So just so I make sure I have it correct, the stuff that's under cost of a consultant, we're getting rid of the legal service and moving up everything that's down below under design engineering
Right, you would
up to
move
that
this,
section.
yeah, you would move this stuff up.
And the match will be 100,000 for that and take out the other two $10,000 blocks.
Yeah, I believe
We
that's
don't-
correct.
We
Let's
don't
see what
need to
that-
acquire easements.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's, we're hoping that the easements get done during the, whatever they
Yeah,
have.
okay.
I think a lot of that stuff was done anyway, but, oh, I don't know. I'll just pick it there for now.
Okay,
Okay, so that's just to say that it's moving and then whatever that percentage becomes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we had to modify this because the acquisition didn't fit
Okay.
the thing.
I'll redo that.
Okay, that's good. What else do we know? I think we're doing pretty good, but it's a process, guys, for sure. Let me just pull up, let's see, what else do we know? Not that. Okay, I don't know if I don't want that. Okay, well, I don't know if I have any other documents. I thought I had pulled up, but I guess I wanted to, the one thing I'm not clear on, and we need to go back and look at the FAQ on the state website for this, or, you know, under the details about the project application somewhere, just to understand what that landowner agreement is. I didn't have time to read that, but that strikes me as something different than I remember seeing.
Well,
But
with the other mass trails, we just needed the deed from the Registry of Deeds for Mannan Meadows.
Okay,
Wouldn't work for, you know, this entire long,
yeah, so I don't, we need
I
to be
can try
clear
to
with
call
that.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark, say what?
I can try to call the Mass Trails and just clarify what they need for that.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Because at this point in time, since we don't have the deed of the rail trail in our hand, you know, we would say that that's,
Yep.
you know, in process, right? So,
Right.
yeah, okay. All right, guys. So I think we've made some headway here. Any thoughts? We're about 3:15, so I think we ought to
Good.
call it for today, but I think we need to probably have another meeting maybe in a week to just keep this rolling because our deadline is pretty quick.
Can I clarify expectations?
Yeah,
So
go for it.
I'm willing to try to do my best work with Ellen to incorporate the changes and send out a change. Will you send me the Google Doc?
Yes,
Uh,
I'll take, assuming, I'm pretty sure all this will have saved. I'm gonna take this and put it into Google Doc. So we
Okay.
can all see it, and then I send out an email link to everybody, so you can all access that in Google Docs.
So I'll try to adapt these changes, send it back out so people can review it again.
Well,
before the next meeting.
just let me put it into Google Docs right now, and I'll
Yep.
get you the link. Then you can work right in that.
Great.
Work in Google Docs so that we're all seeing it as we go, okay?
And I forget who, someone agreed to work on the social justice part of it, if they could
Kate,
rework that section.
Kate, and Diana's gonna check with Mass Trails about whether we need the endangered species or historic letters. You're gonna send us the couple of RFPs that you got.
And
We're gonna,
and my draft, I'll send out also if it's okay.
sure, yes.
Okay.
And again, those can be put into the Google Docs. You can import them into the Google Docs form itself, into the folder that's created, but you can
You
send
want
them to
me-
me and I can put them there.
Yeah. You want me to also ask Mass Trails if we would use WeTransfer for the feasibility study?
Yeah, that would be great.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if
Yeah,
there's
that'd be
anything else you need me to do, and I appreciate everybody's patience, I'm kind of running around because we're doing a
Yeah, no,
vaccine
you're
clinic
great,
today. But I'm happy to help with anything else that you want to assign to me.
Absolutely. We'll get there. This has been a good start today though, Kate. So thank you. I know you're in between vaccinations and everything else you're doing here. So let's see. The other thing, we just need to figure out who we want to reach out. So will you guys reach out to Senator Vilas's office or others for letters of support? Or
Do you want me to
us
just
do
get
that?
a couple of citizen letters of support? Like, would that be helpful or?
I think we may have enough. They don't allow us to attach too many extra things. And if we have one set of letters of support, I'd rather have them more from officials, I think.
Do you
So
want-
I think if we do Vilas, and you mentioned, Mark, that you had whatever the town
Do you want,
planner in
yeah, do you want us
Easthampton
to
or
get one
something.
from West Hampton and Easthampton, or Westfield and Easthampton? Do we want those?
Town planners or somebody that's related on both ends of the trail. I think that would be good.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'll
I don't
do
know that
that.
I don't know that we need the mayor of Easthampton. I think the town planner types would be okay. Ed, have we had any contact with our new rep yet, Kelly Pease?
No, I'll be happy to reach out to him.
Would you? Okay.
Yep.
And do you want to do John Vilas too, or?
Yeah, I can reach out to John's office. I've got
Okay.
contact with them all the time, so.
Okay, why don't you
Yep.
do those two if you would, and then that'll allow Mark and Ellen to tinker with all the editing.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, well, let's get that far. And can we meet the same time next week, same day next week?
1 second.
Does that work for
Is it
everybody?
possible to do Thursday?
Okay, Thursday would be the 20th.
Oh.
Hang on.
Thursday.
We have a 10 o'clock, Ellen.
Yeah,
But we're okay later.
it'll be done by the afternoon.
Yeah, so Thursday,
Thursday would be like way less crazy.
okay, Thursday, the 20th at 2
For
o'clock.
us too, yeah.
Perfect.
We're-
Thursday, the
we're close
20th at
to-
2 o'clock.
Okay.
That's good. Thanks, guys. This has been helpful.
Thank you so much.
And
Very helpful.
feel free
Oh,
to reach out again if we missed something. And what happens is I send this recording off to Easthampton Media, and in a few days they get it posted to the town website under the Southampton TV YouTube section under the grant committee. I'll see if I can get them to post it real quick. Sometimes it takes them a
Thank
few days, but
you.
in case you need to refer back to the discussion, you can listen to it all again. Good. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything
Oh,
else,
and
Ed?
before everybody goes, I'll just let Mark and Ellen know that West Springfield used Fuss and O'Neill for the design on their bike path.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know if they were happy with it? With them?
Yes, they were.
Okay,
But I'll be interested to find out who actually did the design work for Easthampton's phase.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody ought to be able to dig in their history and find that for us, even if it predated them. So
Okay.
very good. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Can I just ask one question about the hazard mitigation plan? Are we
Yes.
going to also regroup about that next week, or is there any additional task assignment we needed to do before the next meeting?
I need to review it, frankly. I got so caught up in the ARPA survey, I haven't really looked at it. I'll have
Okay,
to let you know.
if you want
I-
to shoot me an email, just
Yep.
because I'd love to do some preparation before the meeting, that would be
Exactly.
great. Okay,
But we'll take this one though as our priority because of the deadline. The
yeah,
hazard mitigation update one is a bit of a rolling deadline, so we do have a
Yes.
little flexibility there. And it's definitely less complicated than this one, so well, let's put our energies here for sure, and we'll see how much time. And thanks for everybody's time today, I appreciate it. So can I have a second to
Yeah.
adjourn?
second.
All right, all those in favor, roll call.
Aye.
All right,
All right.
aye, we're adjourned.
Thank you for all of your hard work, Mark and Ellen. This has been excellent.
Yeah,
Oh,
thanks.
well, thank
Good.
you. It's been great.
All right, take care, guys. Thank you much.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.